Hi everyone. Hope you can hear me. It's a very strange sensation to basically like talk when people are like basically like having their headphone, but I'm going to try to do my best. So I'm Anton Soulier. I'm the CEO and founder of Taster. So for those who don't know Taster, Taster is Europe's largest digital restaurant group. And today I'm going to talk about influencers and creators economy. Everybody knows that there are basically like thousands of kind of like brand partnership influencer products. But right now, like influencers don't really need like big corporates to bring their product in front of their clients. I think everybody changed since mainly like TikTok, you know, like when we think about it, 3-4 years ago, TikTok was not that big and basically like short video like didn't really exist. Now, obviously, like TikTok has completely like taken over the world. And I think there is like a huge opportunity for food and drinks category. So today I'm going to talk about my experience at Taster and about basically like all the opportunities that this new generation of entrepreneur and this new business model can bring. But first, I'm going to show you a short video to explain what I'm talking about.
Lennon and McCartney, Nike and Jordan, Ginger and Fred, salt and pepper, salt and pepper, salt and vinegar, mac and cheese, bangers and mash, sweet and sour. Collaboration makes magic happen. So Taster will collaborate with people. Top chefs.
So good.
Future food legends. Influencers.
This is what the Tom needs.
Up and comers. Cultural icons. To create food by foodies, for foodies. Designed to be delivered. Proudly prepared in local kitchens and taken straight to your door. Food that's talked about, ticked about, talked about, shared and shared. They're not just putting a new standard of delivery food on the table, we're putting it at the heart of culture. Taster, makers of taste.
Cool. When we think about it, when we think about fast food industry in general, everybody think about McDonald's, obviously. I don't know if you watch the movie The Founder. It's one of my favorite film, one of my favorite movie. What was very interesting in this film is that we realized that basically like 60 years ago, the most important part of a business model for a restaurant was location and advertising. So for decades and decades, all the fast food businesses basically relied on location, and spending a lot of money in like TV ads, billboards, like kind of like very traditional marketing. I think it worked for like very long period of time, but things like mainly completely changed about like 2 or 3 years ago, when like basically this company has been like challenged by businesses like Mr. Beast. I don't know if you are familiar with Mr. Beast, but in a matter of days, basically Mr. Beast, which is like one of the biggest influencer in the planet, managed to launch a stunt in the US. He managed to launch basically a digital restaurant chain through his channels and through a single pop-up. In a matter of days, the app became like number one in Apple. So it's just like completely unbelievable. And actually, they've completely challenged almost like the traditional playbook of McDonald's. So things are changing right now. There is like a new generation, I would say, of like fast food brands. And basically the companies like McDonald's or Burger King and kind of like traditional QSR are basically rethinking their business model as well. What's very interesting as well is we've seen obviously like a big change in the fast food industry, but I think this playbook has been also applied to other categories such as drinks. Something that was like very exciting as well, that also happened mainly in the UK, was basically the work that KSI has done with Logan Paul on Prime Drinks. It's exactly like this example of very powerful, I would say, influencer, very engaged audience with like a great product. And what's very interesting as well is these brands are launched, I would say, with minimum budget. It's just the power of the influencers that are going to generate like huge orders from day one. It's, I would say, like a much more, I would say, effective marketing spend rather than spending millions and millions and millions on advertisements such as like KFC or McDonald's. I think what's very interesting as well is you can tap into like a lot of cities basically like overnight, because, you know, when Logan Paul or KSI are basically launching a video on YouTube, it's watched by millions and millions of people, and you don't need to spend, again, like millions on billboard. Typically, a more like traditional campaign for KFC will cost, I don't know, like for a single city like London, will cost maybe 2, 3, 4 millions. So that's very interesting to see like the power of this marketing approach. Just to describe basically how we are thinking about this creator economy, I put together a summary of like a very cool movie that shows like basically that investing in creators, especially in the right creators, is the right thing to do.
What happened?
You didn't get him.
I heard you were down there closing with mother.
Adidas matched. He needs more.
More money?
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. He wants a piece of this shoe. Gross revenue, just everything with his name on it. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ. I'm really sorry.
Fuck it. You should do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sonny. Thought you believed in this guy. Well, of course I do.
There's not a lot of point in having a basketball crew if you don't listen to what he has to say.
The board's never gonna do that. This has never happened before. You'd be putting yourself in a real bad spot. They could call for your removal.
This guy is who you think he's going to be. The best thing that ever happened to this company. And it'll be worth every penny. Let me worry about the fucking board.
It's a big risk.
You remember for the rules you break. Close the fucking deal.
Hey, Sonny.
That's how I built this company.
I get it.
Forget it.
So I just wanted to talk to you about like just the macro trend about creators, influencers. Now I'm going to tell you a bit more about Taster, about myself. So before Taster, I was employee number 7 at Deliveroo in the UK. So I've been in the food delivery for a very long time. I spent about 3 years and a half at Deliveroo, both in the UK as in France, as you can hear from my accent. I'm French. I wanted to come back to France as well to basically like basically develop Deliveroo there. After 3 years and a half, I've worked with like a lot of restaurants, but it was back like 6 years ago, and 6 years ago, like food delivery for a lot of restaurants was a bit of an afterthought. They were not like thinking about delivery as a first business. And as I said at the beginning, they were more thinking about location and their traditional businesses. And for them, it was more of like an additional business. So I started to think, okay, I need to create a brand that is completely designed around the delivery experience. I need to use like the e-commerce codes, I would say, that I will apply to the restaurant industry. And I decided to leave Deliveroo, even if I love this business, to create Taster. And my ambition was really to create digitally native restaurant brands. I very, very quickly decided to partner up with chefs that were like relatively famous, up and coming chefs, to really come up with like an authentic story about like basically, because I didn't have any location, so I needed to create like stories. I need to focus on the content, on the experience. And that's what we've been doing for basically for the last 6 years. We've also decided to build like a lot of technology within operations. So right now we have basically about like 20 engineers working on the technology we've developed to basically scale the quality, because you know, it's not just about the brand, not just about the storytelling, but it's also about the quality. And finally, the way we distribute our product is through a franchise model. So just to understand, we have 130 franchises across 5 countries. So we're in France, UK, Spain, Belgium, and Netherlands, who are like cooking the food. So in the UK, I live in the UK. We have about 10 franchises in London. We're in Brighton, we're in Birmingham, Bristol, and we're in about like 70 cities in France. So with basically this model, we've been able to scale like extremely quickly and really basically tapping into like smaller and smaller cities where by definition there is not a lot of supply of restaurants. But basically, I'm just going to go back. We started basically to create, I would say, brands internally. We were developing brands based on what we thought would work. But I would say after COVID and after, I think, just when everything reopened, there was like a new generation of customers that were more like Gen Z. And basically Gen Z generation, they were almost like more advanced than us about, okay, what's going to be the next trend? What do I want to order like food, you know? And it's not just about a nice premium burger or a nice pizza, or, you know, they were like really demanding about what's the emotional what's the emotional connection I'm going to create with this brand? What are going to be like the product I want? And to be honest, at some point, we found ourselves a bit like overwhelmed, and we were like, oh, actually, we are not able to create brands that are going to be impactful for this new generation. So very quickly, we started to think, what about basically allowing creators, allowing influencers to create their brands, and we are going to help them co-creating their brand. We are going to provide with the menu, with the operations, with the scale, with the technology, but we need to give them like full creative license to create what they want to create, because they will know what, you know, their audience needs, basically. That's basically how Power to Creators became live a few months ago, and how we basically decided to almost like pivot our model. I think basically what we realized as well, as you can see, I'm a big fan of prime drinks, so I think what's very important here is we've seen also the opportunity for the food and I would say the food and drink industry. This phenomenon happened like a lot of like long time ago in the fashion industry with Rihanna, with a lot of players, but there was nothing really in the food industry, and that's how we decided to completely like focus our attention. And basically everything changed since basically the biggest food YouTuber in France approached us, and he told me, Anton, I want to create my brand with you. I have been like creating video for the last 10 years, and basically I have an audience of 6 million followers on YouTube that are extremely engaged. I know what they want. I know which shows they want. I know which flavors they want, and I need to come with my own story and to create a brand with you. And that's how we decided to create together Pepe Chicken. We gave him full, basically like full autonomy on creating the brands and everything. It's just to show like a bit of the size of this guy. He's like just huge, extremely engaged, much more than the average industry, and it's been completely mental. Basically, after a year and a half, this brand, Pepe Chicken, is now the second biggest fried chicken brand in France. Basically, today in France, if you take 2 of our fried chicken brands, we are already like bigger than KFC. So can you imagine that in only like 3 years, we managed to basically beat one of the biggest players in the world, because we leverage like again the influencer strategy. I think what's very interesting as well is it's very authentic. So when he talked about the brand, you know, on social, it's not like a brand partnership. It's not like, oh, I'm going to make a story because I'm paid for that. He's just taking his phone and he's filming himself in the kitchen, and it's creating like a very nice and engaging story. So people are just going mad about that. So what's the secret sauce? I hope Lewis Capaldi is not in the room, hopefully, but basically, For me, it's all about product. You know, like for a brand to really thrive, it's all about product. So you need to make sure the product is right. You need to make sure the mindset is right as well. So we've seen as well a new generation of creators that are not just influencers living in Dubai. They are like proper businessmen, businesswomen. These people, they don't want just to rely on, you know, revenue on YouTube or in Instagram. They want like a new stream of revenue. They also want to create like an exciting venture. They want to own something. They want to own like a vodka brand, a gin brand, a restaurant chain. It's a very particular type of creators. I would say only 5-10% maybe have this mindset, and that's the type of people who are totally after. They also need to be social, digital first, okay? We are not big believers on kind of like, I would say, partnerships that are with like big musicians, you know, people that has been in this industry for like 30 years, because they are not, let's say, like, they are not really digitally savvy. They are not going to know how to talk about their audience. They are not going to know how to create like a very exciting content. So it's very important to be social first. And basically, that's the secret sauce. When you look at, again, all the big chains now, all the brands, they just struggle to get some engagement. And when you look at, that's another example of Sides, which is a creator-led business as well. It's becoming like suddenly like much more engaging. I always say something which seems a bit extreme, but for me, the brands are almost dead. You know, in the 21st century, and since basically what's happening with TikTok, nobody is really caring about brands. People are caring about stories, about authenticity, about, you know, community, about a product, but you are not interested about brand. So I think it's going to come as a surprise or as a shock for a lot of companies. And I think there is, again, like a new generation of creators that are going to replace the brand. That's it. That's the way it is. Product, as I said, very important that to be focused on the product, you know, to be very successful, you need to have a great marketing, of course, a great product, because at the end of the day, if the food is shit, nobody's going to buy it, right? And finally, distribution. Product is key. There is an example of DJ Khaled, which is a huge celebrity, but he's not really a creator, right? He's not really a social media creator. He's a fantastic artist, a fantastic rapper, but is it really relevant for fried chicken? Maybe not. And the product was crap, so it just didn't work. So where next for creators-led brands? So obviously, like TikTok completely changed the world. So I think there is like a huge opportunity for like a lot of creators to really jump on this, basically on this bandwagon. What's also very interesting is we're going to see more and more, let's say, kind of like niche restaurants, niche brands with people that are tapping into like a certain category. I'm not spoiling anything, but we launched last week a brand with this guy who is not very famous in the UK, but if there are like some British, like French people in the room, he's the biggest Snapchatter in Europe, #1. So this guy is French. He really is really like a foodie. He's done like a lot of videos around kind of street food and everything, but he's tapping more into the kind of like Muslim category, halal food, and we decided to co-create a brand with him that is, again, like targeting a specific audience. Obviously, vegan is a big thing as well, a huge potential. We have been working with a lot of influencers. There are a lot of people approaching us as well, willing to basically like launch a brand with us on this category. And we can think that basically in the next few years, there will be more and more of these people approaching us that are willing to tap into like specific categories. And what's very interesting is potential even trends we are not thinking of. What I've been like very surprised is I'm approached by influencer creators who came up with some products. I'm like, what is that? But they're like, but look, it's very trendy on TikTok. It's a big thing. You need to do it. That's what we've done actually with this guy. We created a kind of like sandwich, which is quite crazy, but it's working like insanely well. We launched last week, and it's basically like the biggest launch we've ever had. So hope you enjoyed the chat. It was very exciting to be here, and thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anton.
Thank you.
Thank you.